the beginning of the story we see that there was devastation all over the earth. The buildings that once touched the sky were now collapsing one by one. Now there was nothing left in this city except rubble, and the reason for this were plants. But these were not ordinary plants. Rather, these 4,005 feet tall plants had become a big threat to humans because they grew very fast. At this time these plants had occupied 80 of the earth, and due to them common humans and animals were on the verge of extinction. Almost 2 years later we see a little girl named Juana who is playing with her little dog in a forest. Suddenly her father picks her up and starts running towards their house with her. Actually the sun is about to set soon, and being outside at night is not without danger. But when Yuan's dog ran towards the forest, she freed her father's hand and ran after the dog. Now she had no other option but to follow Yuan. Meanwhile Yuan's dog had gone in some unknown direction, and while chasing it Yuan reached the depths of the forest. In front of him was a huge plant that was surrounded by a web of vines and was shaking like a beating heart. There were many human corpses hanging around it, and there were dangerous plants like snakes to take care of them. As soon as the plant smelled Yuan, it opened its mouth to attack Yuan. Luckily Yan came there just in the nick of time and saved Yuan's life. He picked Yuan up in his arms and ran away and stopped directly at his house. He quickly closed all the doors and turned on the UV lights in the house because these lights kept the plants away. Finally he heaved a sigh of relief. Abi-man was very remorseful because his father was in such a big trouble because of him, but Yag forgave him and then fitted a tracker in his watch so that he could always know Yuan's location. Then he put Yuan to sleep, and later he also slept. Then he saw a dream of many years ago when Yuan was going somewhere in a car with his dead wife and Yuan. His wife was a scientist who was working on a special project in which he was trying to create a new type of powerful plants. This was because the trees and plants on the earth were decreasing very rapidly and a large part of the earth was becoming barren. Suddenly he received an emergency video call on his laptop in which one of his friends was warning him about these new plants. At the same time people around them started shouting loudly and running away from their cars. Seong also got out of his car, but by then it was too late because these dangerous plants had attacked the humans fiercely. Suddenly Yin woke up to Yuan's screams and rushed to his room. His room was lit with UV light, but the demonic plant still lifted his bed, broke through the ground, and dragged him underground. Then Yin remembered that he had put a tracker on Yuan's watch, and he immediately packed his bags and went in search of Yuan. He reached an old building behind the Draker. Yuan was sitting in a room surrounded by plants, and she was somehow protecting herself with the help of her UV torch, but now its battery could run out any time. Then Yen threw his torch towards Yuan, after which all the plants came forward to attack Yen. Finally he used his brain and broke a window, due to which sunlight came into the room, and then Yuan fainted due to exhaustion. As soon as the sunlight came, all the plants retreated because in reality these plants were afraid of sunlight. Now once again he was dreaming about a few years ago, and the plants were slowly starting to grab his body. Yuan tried to pull him away, but she didn't have the strength. She was feeling very desperate, but then suddenly a sharp blade cut through the plants and freed him. Actually a small group of soldiers had entered there and started fighting these dangerous plants bravely, but their bullets and fire-spewing guns could not stop the plants for long. Here a soldier was trying to operate the UV device, but unfortunately it was not starting. Yong regained consciousness in a few moments, and he very easily fixed and turned on the device, after which a very bright UV light came out of it. As soon as this light came, all the plants retreated and hid in the darkness. Finally the soldiers told Young and Yuan that these plants have made their own web under the ground, which is spread very far. No, and because of that there is going to be destruction on Earth in just 2 days. These were soldiers of the joint forces whose aim was to find a device with the help of which all the plants can be destroyed and human life on Earth can be saved. The building they were in at this time used to be a research center before the terror of plants. Now the soldiers soon found the reagent device with the help of which the plants could be destroyed. Then they informed their headquarters about this. Now they had to take this reagent to a launch station and use it on the roots of the plants present under the ground. At this time there were 140 such devices all over the world, and to kill the plants they will have to activate all the devices together. WAA felt something was wrong with this plan, and then suddenly a plant came out from under the ground and broke the UV device in one stroke. At that very moment it became dark all around, and they all somehow made a hole in the walls to let in some sunlight. In this rush Yan saw that she and her daughter were separated from the rest of the soldiers. The captain of the soldiers was also badly injured. Liminum's soldiers were trying their best to stop the bleeding of the captain. At that very moment a huge snake-like plant entered the room and started looking for its prey. Yin picked up an iron rod to kill it, but Limo stopped him. Actually this dangerous plant could not see and caught its prey only by hearing sound. Now he picked up the reagent and started to leave quietly, but suddenly Yuan accidentally collided with a shelf. On hearing his voice the plant rushed to attack him, so Limo and Yan came to his aid, but this plant was very powerful. It was not easy to stand against it. At the same time, the captain came in between and fired bullets of the plant with his gun, but that too made no difference. Rather, now the plant left everyone and grabbed the captain. Limos came forward to help, but it was too late because the captain had already removed the pin of his grenade. Suddenly there was a huge explosion in which the captain risked his life and destroyed the demon plant. The blast sent Limo, Young, and Yuan flying onto the road where they found the rest of the soldiers. Luckily, Region also fell out with them, but everyone was very sad to hear the news of the captain's death. Their engineer was also killed in the attack, so they asked Young to come with them because he had quickly repaired that UV device. But Abian refused to go with them because now he and his daughter were safe. And for him, nothing was more important than his daughter's safety because he had no one in this world except his daughter. But Yuan was not happy with this statement of her father. She herself wanted her father to protect the world because if her mother was alive, she would have done the same. Yang's conscience was awakened by these words, and he joined the mission with the soldiers. When they were all passing through the city, they got a signal from another team in which only 2 words were heard: green tide. At that very moment, the ground suddenly started cracking and huge buildings started breaking and falling down. Now their group ran in the opposite direction, but green tide came in its true form and attacked. Green tide was like a powerful wave made up of many plants which was as high as these huge buildings. This tide would come out of the ground and destroy everything, and whoever came in its way could not survive. Actually, this was just the beginning, because after the next 56 hours the whole world was going to be destroyed by its terror. Here Limo's group was running to save their lives, but the road ahead was closed, and from behind the tide was moving towards them very fast. Then they crossed huge ditches and finally got into a bus. As soon as the tide attacked them, the bus flew and collided with a building far away. Somehow their lives were saved, but the tide killed all the common people who were outside. Now the plants had calmed down, but the survivors realized that the devastation that was going to happen after 56 hours would happen much earlier than the expected time. They thought of sending this news to the headquarters, but there was no signal there. Then Yang's eyes fell on a signal tower on the building in front, and there was a bridge between these 2 buildings. This bridge was in a very weak condition, but they had no other way except to cross it. Now they were all moving forward very cautiously when suddenly the building next to them collapsed. In an instant, no, their lives were saved, but the building suddenly collapsed and mud started flying everywhere, due to which Yuan slipped. The new captain of the team jumped after him with a rope. Young was trying to pull them up by holding the rope, but this rope was very fragile and could not bear the weight of both of them. Then the captain sacrificed his life to save Yuan's life. Now after his death, Limo was the captain of this mission. Young somehow pulled Yuan up, but now the bridge was almost on the verge of breaking. All the soldiers immediately ran and entered the building, and at the right time Young also came inside with Yuan. No. After this, Yarn repaired the signal tower there. Then Limo talked to his commander, and soon he got connected to 140 groups present all over the world. All the soldiers of the same police network got shocking news. The powerful green tick, which was going to destroy the entire Earth after 56 hours, that attack was now going to happen in just 4 hours. Along with this, they found out that the roots of the plants present inside the ground which they had to attack were protected with a special membrane. This means that the plan they had made earlier to launch reagents in 140 areas will be of no use. Now they will have to attack a specific point of the membrane so that the entire network of routes is destroyed. But the biggest problem was that they did not know of any such weak points so far. Hundreds of soldiers had lost their lives in this mission, and it would not be right to end this mission at this point. That is why Young motivated everyone by giving a powerful speech. Finally, all 140 groups decided to carry out this mission. However, their chance of success was 0.03%. His team soon reached the launch station, where they put the reagent in a machine so that it can go into the ground and destroy the roots of the plants. But little did they know that danger was lurking around them. On one hand, a powerful tide was coming forward to attack them, and on the other hand, the reagent was stopped by the membrane present under the ground. On the other hand, all the other groups were also facing this problem now. All the soldiers started losing courage, but then Yan got an idea. He said that the power of the launch station is generated from the geothermal energy of the volcanoes present there. If they close all the tunnels of hot lava, then all the lava will collect at one place, and then that lava can easily destroy the protective membrane present under the ground. But there was a problem in this too, because the connection of all the tunnels had been cut. That is why now they will have to go there and destroy the control system of the tunnels. Yan promised his daughter that he would definitely come back, and then he left for this dangerous mission with the rest of the team. When they reached underground, everything was burning due to the heat of the lava. Also, plants had occupied many places in the tunnels which blocked their path. When they were trying to move forward, Young suddenly got injured. Then one of his companions detonated a bomb to clear the way, in which he himself got killed. Limo and Young did not have time to cry, so they moved forward with the bomb. Now a door came in front of them, so he asked Limo to open the door. Limo started looking for something to open it, but Young silently opened the door, went across and locked it. Limo understood that Young was about to risk his life. That is why she asked Young to open the door. But Young had made up his mind. He asked Limo to take care of Yuan and moved on. Meanwhile, the ground started cracking on the surface of the earth outside because a very big green tit had started coming out, and everyone understood that it was time. On the other hand, Young was moving forward even with his injured leg. Suddenly debris started falling on him from the roof, and now he was not able to walk, but still he kept crawling forward with the bomb. Finally he reached the control system and spoke to the rest of the army team. Yuan had understood in her mind that her father was going to sacrifice his life to save the world. Yuan started crying after seeing him and asked him to come back. At that very moment the time of the bomb expired, and in a moment there was a huge explosion in the tunnels, due to which all the lava gathered at one place. Immediately, due to its tremendous force, the safety membrane of the plants started melting, and in a few moments the regent got trapped in the net of roots of the plants while being launched. Eventually all the roots were destroyed, and soon all the trees and plants on the earth also started dying. In the end, all the people left on earth were very happy because the human species was saved from complete extinction. From that day onwards a new era began on earth, and humans vowed to take care of the earth. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.